Mr. Shiv Khera is the founder of Qualified Learning Systems Incorporated USA. An author, educator, and business consultant, he is a much sought-after speaker. He inspires and informs people, helping them to realize their true potential. He has taken his dynamic personal messages to opposite sides of the globe, from the US to Singapore. His 30 years of understanding and experience has helped people on the path of personal growth and fulfillment. He has been recognized by the Round Table Foundation, honored by Lions International and Rotary International. Mr. Shiv Khera's client list includes, among others, Lufthansa, Motorola, Nestle, Philips, Gillette, Hewlett-Packard, Carrier, IBM, Ericsson, General Motors, Johnson & Johnson, HSBC, and many more. He has appeared on numerous radio and television shows. Mr. Shiv Khera is also the author of the international bestseller book, You Can Win, in 16 languages. His other books are on their way to creating new records. Tens of thousands have benefited from his dynamic workshops in 17 countries, and over 1 million people have heard him as a keynote speaker. His trademark is, winners don't do different things. They do things differently.
Thank you for inviting me, sir. What are you doing on me? Are you trying some new machine on me or what? All right. You just became a teenager last year. It's your 14th birthday here. 13th was the last one, so you just became a teenager. You're pretty young. Give him a big hand, please. All right. All right, folks. Since it is the Liver Institute, there's something to do with alcohol. Yes, no. There is something to do with alcohol. How many of you are familiar with the Alcohol Anonymous group? Anybody familiar with that? Alcohol Anonymous? So invariably, they invite speakers from time to time to address. So once they had invited a medical doctor to address all the alcoholics. So the doctor wanted to make an impression so strong that people will stop drinking alcohol. So he came to the dais. He had 2 containers, one with alcohol and the other with distilled water. And he put an earthworm into the distilled water. It swam beautifully, came to the top. And he put another earthworm into alcohol, and it disintegrated, shattered in front of everybody's eyes. He wanted to prove this is what alcohol does to our inside. So he asked the people, what's the moral of the story? So one person from behind said, if you drink alcohol, you will never have worms in your stomach. Folks, well, question is, was that the message? All right, folks, I see many of you have got fancy iPhones and all kinds of stuff. Let me see. Get your mobile in the hand, please. Everybody get your mobile in the hand, please. Everybody get it up, please. All the way up. All the way up. All the way up. Kindly get your mobile up, please, ma'am. Get your mobile up. Okay, now switch off, please. Kindly switch off. Kindly switch off. Kindly switch off. Folks, let me ask you, if I keep my mobile on right now, and if it keeps vibrating, ringing, whatever the heck it is, would it be courteous to you people? Yes, no. Hello? No. Can we practice courtesy both sides, please? Folks, in our office, it is very clearly put in a conference room, nobody, including me, is allowed to bring the mobile in our office in the conference room. Nobody. Let me ask you, if you come in and I keep my mobile on, 1, it is ill-mannered and discourteous, and 2, am I not wasting your time? Yes, no? Do I have a right to do it? Answer is no. I have no right to do it. But then, I won't let you waste my time either. I will keep my mobile, and you got to keep your mobile also. I will not let you waste my time either. So it is basic courtesy. We had a member of parliament come the other day. I said, sir, kindly leave your mobile. outside. These are basic things that we need to move on. All right, folks. Now, in fact, in the US, Thanksgiving is a big event. So you aware of that, Dr. Serenity? Thanksgiving is a big event in the US, and invariably they invite family members for the event. And it's a great turkey dinner. So one of the guests came in, and the host said, "Look, buddy, can you help me out a little bit? Can you slice this turkey, please?" So the guest started slicing the turkey. And every time he sliced it, he was admiring himself. "Boy, look a great slice I did. I could be a great surgeon. I could be a great surgeon." And he sliced the next one and said, "Man, I'm doing such a great job. I could be a great surgeon." Eventually, he sliced all of them. And at the end, he was admiring himself. "Man, I could have been a great surgeon." So now the friend said, "Now put it back again." I can't do it. So, folks, keep in mind, medical profession is about putting together, not slicing. Are you with me? Yeah. It is not about slicing. It is about putting together. Folks, I have to say, medical profession, the Indian professionals literally have dominated the world in the medical profession, and they have done a great job and made the country very, very proud, folks, very proud all the way up. And that's true. And I'll share with you one recent case that happened. There's another Dr. Khera in Pathankot. And his son was in California, and that boy got admitted in the hospital. And he said, the way they looked after my kid, the kind of problems that they created or that happened there, he said, this guy needs a liver transplant. He was bloating everywhere. But he said, the way he was being looked after or not being looked after, he said, I'm not getting the treatment that I want or I deserve here in US. He said, pack this kid, I'm going to take him back to India. Folks, now getting that kid from the hospital in a critical situation, got him into the plane and brought him here. And folks, this is only a 3-week-old instance that happened. Got him to the hospital, doctors checked him out, and they said he doesn't need a transplant. We will treat him properly with the medication. And now, within a matter of 10 days, this kid is walking when he could not stand up on his own. And that is the kind of great work that some of our Indian doctors are doing. It's a great job. Amazing. This is really what is. Now, I have some personal experience. See, a very close friend of mine, Dr. Kiran Das, a gastro guy. He was my client also in the US, but a close friend. This man was honored in the US almost 25 or 30 years ago to have made one of the highest contribution to the inflammatory bowel disease. One of the highest contribution to that. And doctors from all over the world came up when he was being honored. And I was privileged to be also there, and I did speak a few words right there. But it was such a great thing to see our Indian doctor being honored, and people from all over the world flew in, from Australia, Japan, everywhere. But you know what is the best thing that I heard there? All the gastros, the best from all over the world, you know what they said? They said, if I have a problem, who would I go to? Sorry, sir. If I had a problem, who would I go to? They said, I would go to Dr. Kiran Das. You know something? There are many, 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 many doctors. But you know something? The doctor, they said, when he is a doctor's doctor, when many of you medical professionals, when you are in search of a doctor, I would like to see at that time, who do you pick? Are you with me? Hello? At that time, I would love to see who do you pick. And that's the one I would like to go to too. Because there is a lot of ethics involved out there. Folks, are you aware that in the U.S., what is the third biggest cause of death in the U.S.? What is it? Medical negligence. Medical negligence is the third biggest cause of death in the U.S. Means doctors handing over didn't do the job properly. Nursing handing over didn't do the job properly. They gave the wrong medication. They did the wrong stuff. This is U.S. 250,000 people die like this. Now they have statistics because they do it. In India, what the number could be, it could be huge. We don't know what the number could be. We don't know that. But you see, the key is, why do you go to a doctor 10 miles away, bypassing 10 other doctors on the way? Is he the most qualified? Probably not. But something says, I am dealing with the right person. What is that something? It is the trust factor. It is the trust factor. And folks, many times people ask, what is the greatest thing in the world? And even TV evangelists, many times they say, love is the greatest thing in the world, but the way I see it, trust in many ways a much greater compliment in life than love. There are people we love, but we cannot trust. And that is really what the whole thing is all about. Folks, once somebody asked a medical doctor, how did you pick your field? How did you decide to be a medical doctor? And he said, going back 50 years ago, we used to live on a farm. And he said, I had a little brother who was 6-year-old who fell sick and sick real bad. And he said, my parents had a family friend who was a medical doctor. We asked him to come overnight and stay there because that was the critical night. And the doctor came over all night. He kept struggling with the kid. And next day morning, the doors opened and the parents walked in. And they asked the doctor, is our kid going to live? And the doctor said, not only is your kid going to live, but he's going to live a good life. He's out of danger. And he said, the moment the doctor finished the last words, he's out of danger, he said, I saw a smile of relief on my parents' faces. I saw a smile of relief on my parents' faces. And he said, I was 10 years old. I was standing in the corner. He said, when I saw that smile of relief on my parents' faces, that's the time I made up my mind, I shall be a medical doctor who puts smiles on people's faces. Folks, you are not in the medical profession. You are not a doctor. I'm not a motivational speaker. Whatever you're doing, ma'am, you are not teaching. You are in the same business that I am, you are, and we are all in the business of putting smiles on people's faces. Folks, when you go into a profession with service in mind, money comes so fast you cannot even count. But when you go into a profession only to make a buck and not to serve, it doesn't come. And even if it does, it is short-lived. And if it is not short-lived, it gets you no goodwill. Let me ask you, if you have all the money in the world and no goodwill, is it worth having? is it worth having if you have no goodwill and all the money in the world? Then what is the difference between you and me and Daud? We're the same. We are in the same category. Change your name, change my name. Daud. That's it. Folks, we need to come back to our basics. We need to understand where we are. And eventually, it all comes down to what? Empathy. Now, keeping in mind, folks, medical profession is a very high stress business. It's a very high stress profession. Folks, during the pandemic, I got a call from UK, and they said, Mr. Khera, can you do a program for our medical doctors, NHS? Sir, we got a call from NHS. Second highest medical body in the world. And they said, could you do a motivational program for our medical doctors? I said, sir, it ought to be the other way around. They should be doing the program for me rather than my doing the program for them. It's the other way around. But then, no. We want you to do a motivational program. I said, why is that? Folks, I did a little research. What do I talk to the medical doctors? I found out that it is a very high stress profession. Why is that high stress? Because in fact, most of the doctors are sleep deprived. Many doctors are sleep deprived. And two, they see death all the time. And no matter how many you've seen, it is always uncomfortable to see one more dead. Are you with me? That's right. And somehow or the other, you have to be available to your people somehow or the other, pretty much 24/7. And all this adds to a lot of stress. And when I did that little research, it showed that 40% of the doctors were suffering from depression and 17% of them thought of committing suicides. I was shocked. But when I read those statistics, my respect for the medical profession went even higher, because I said, with so much stress, they're doing such a great job. Absolutely, they deserve a big applause. Folks, it is not easy. It is tough. The way things are happening today, I see we address schools, colleges, many places. And I just addressed the Maulana Azad alumni recently, about 3-4 weeks ago, and there were almost 500 to 1,000 doctors from all over the world. And we talked of one thing, that IIM Nagpur has just signed up a collaboration with us. It has become mandatory for all MBS students to go through our program, mandatory, not optional, before they finish up the graduation in IIM Nagpur. And now a few others are talking to us also. So we started talking about skill development, and Amitabh Kant was there from Niti Aayog, so we talked about it. And they were talking about skill development. Skill development. Lots and lots of money is going into skill development, probably more than 100,000 crores into. And when I took the mic, I said only one thing. And I said, sir, could you kindly convey my message? And that is, organizations and countries, nations are not built on skills. They are built on character. Are you with me? They are built on character, not on skills. Let me ask you, if you have a skilled doctor who lacks character, what will they do? They will do useless surgeries. They will do useless procedures. They will do, to them, a sick person is not a patient but a target. And for every one visit, they bill 3 times. Are you with me? I've seen that. I was in the hospital for 7 months. Once in Max, once in Vedanta. I saw firsthand what the whole thing is going on, man. You got a skillful guy, lacks integrity. You have a skillful lawyer who lacks character. What will he do? A matter that can be settled in 5 hearings, he will drag you 55 hearings and squeeze you out. And the senior lawyer went away. But you see, you have a skillful judge who lacks integrity. They will give you judgments, no justice. Are you with me? And you have a skillful IAS, IPS officer who lacks integrity. They become mafia themselves. Hello? They are mafia themselves. What the hell am I talking here? Companies, organizations, and countries are not built on skills. They are all built on character. That is the only sustenance way as we move along. Folks, with the speed of change, the way things are happening today, let me share with you what is the difference between a laborer, a craftsman, and an artist. Folks, a person who only works with the hand is called a laborer. A person who works with the hand and the head is called a craftsman. A person who works with the hand and the head and the heart is called an artist. Folks, no matter what we do in life, if we don't have alignment of these 3 things, we are only a laborer. Folks, going back many, many years ago, the world record on high jump used to be 7'4". High jump, not pole vault. Question is, how can a person clear a bar 7'4"? Boy, 4'7" is tough. So somebody asked the champion, how do you clear a bar 7'4"? And he said, I throw my heart over the bar and my body follows. He said, I just throw my heart over the bar and my body follows. Folks, why am I sharing this with you? You know something? You go home and the food that is only prepared with the hand and not the heart, you can tell the difference. You can taste it. A doctor who walks in and just examine you with only the hand, not with the heart, you can tell the difference. Yes, no. Hello? You can tell right away. Folks, no matter what we do, eventually it all comes down to, what are we using? We need to put everything in alignment in order to do a great job. Otherwise, we are laborers, that's all. We are only laborers, nothing else. Now, folks, going back, 1973, we had coal mines in India. I come from a business family. We had close to 1,000 people working. I didn't create them. I inherited them. And the coal mines got nationalized. The government took over. And we literally came on the street. Street means street. Some families had money. Our family did not. Because my father had died when I was just about leaving college. We were left with the liability and the assets were gone. And I was married just 4 weeks then. And I remember a year later my daughter was born. And I sold some of the last piece of my mother's jewelry to get released from the hospital. I did not have $10 to buy milk that night. I tried my hands on 3 businesses with no money and I failed in all. Finally, November 13, 1975, I left India, went to Toronto initially, and started life with a bucket in my hand, washing cars door to door. For about a year and a half, I was washing cars on the street. And totally by accident, I got into selling life insurance. And in my opinion, that was the best thing that ever happened to me in my life. You know why? Folks, I don't care who person sitting here or what profession we are. Life always does not go up, up, up. It also comes down. And the best thing that ever happened to me in my life was the life insurance business, because life insurance business is a rejection business. Selling life insurance is one of the toughest things to sell in the world. Selling a car, a pen, a house, or anything, much easier. You can touch and feel and touch and feel and touch and feel. With life insurance, you can't touch and feel. All you tell the person is, when you're dead, they'll get something. That's about it. That's it. It's all over. One of the toughest sales is to sell life insurance. That means you have to be rejected 20 times before you get one application. Means 20 times somebody rejects you, kick out. So it's a rejection business. One of the biggest damage we do to our families today is we teach our kids only 2 words. Succeed and win, succeed and win, succeed and win, and succeed and win. You know something? Life always doesn't go up. We never teach them how to fail and how to lose and how to fail and how to lose. Because failing and losing is a reality. Remember one thing, folks, when we fail, we are not defeated. When we fall, we are not defeated. We only get defeated when we quit. Are you with me? Hello? We only get defeated when we quit. Now, one thing that comes in is, after I joined life insurance selling, within 3 months, my manager called me to fire me for non-performance. And he said to me, he said, Shiv, I've been in this life insurance business 35 years. I've seen some slow starts in my life, but I've never seen one like you. And he says to me, don't come back tomorrow, you're fired. Don't come back tomorrow. I said, Joe, wait a minute. Before you fire me, at least hear me out. I'm not an educated person. I'm not a doctor, engineer, attorney, accountant. I'm a BCom 3rd division, failed in my 10th. That's my academics. Even in school, I wasn't the brightest kid, folks. I was the backbencher troubling the front benchers. In my class, out of 6 or 7 subjects in 8th grade, I failed in all except one. So my principal called me and said, Shiv, you're paying too much attention on one subject. And then, out of 28 kids, I was number 27 because the 28th was absent. No kidding. Folks, I still got my report card. But bottom line is, I told my manager, I said, Joe, I'm not educated. I'm not a doctor, engineer, attorney, accountant. I'm a BCom 3rd division. How do you expect performance out of me? Folks, that day, somebody spoke very harshly to me, and I'm glad he did. And later on I realized it was not anger, it was concern. He looked at me and he said, you shut up and listen to me. He didn't talk this politely. He shouted at me, you shut up and listen to me. He said, you don't have a handicap, you have a bad attitude. And then he said to me, he said, it is people like you who not only ruin their own life, but they also ruin their family's life too. And then he said to me, do you know who has a handicap in life? He said, the doctor, engineer, attorney, accountant, they all have handicaps. I said, boy, I never heard that one. How do they have handicaps? He said, go check out all over the world. It is generally true. They all have chosen their field, they are stuck. Generally true. They all have chosen their field, they are stuck. And he says to me, you haven't chosen your field. Don't you see the world is open to you? I said, Joe, I never thought from that point of view. He says to me, now that you're fired, he said, you got all the time to think. He said, leave my office. Folks, I left his office 45 years ago that day. That evening, there was a program by Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, the man who wrote the book Power of Positive Thinking. I'm sure you're familiar with the name. Yes, no? Okay. Folks, I went to attend that program. I paid $39, which I didn't have. And Dr. Peale came in. He must have been 85 years of age at that time. Height, 5'1", maybe 2 with shoes. That's it. But with the enthusiasm, the way he spoke that day, from that day onwards, I changed the definition of height. One never measures a person's height neck down. Always measure height neck up. Are you with me? And he looked at the entire audience. There were probably about 1,000 people. But he had so much of self-confidence. But that self-confidence had humility. Because any confidence that lacks humility is called arrogance. Yes, no? And he said, it appears nobody has a problem here. Does anybody have a problem here? Now, who doesn't have a problem? So everybody raised their hand. Then Dr. Peale said, how many people would like to get rid of their problems? Again, everybody raised their hand. Then Dr. Peale said, while I was coming here, I came across a place where I saw some people lying down, all stretched out, comfortable, totally relaxed. They had no problem whatsoever. How many people would like to know where that place is? Again, everybody raised their hand. And then Dr. Peale said, 2 blocks away from here, there is a cemetery. There are people lying there, all stretched out, comfortable, totally relaxed. They have no problem whatsoever. And then he asked, how many people would like to get rid of the problem? Nobody raised their hand. Everybody put their hand in their pocket. And then Dr. Peale said, remember, problem is a sign of life. So long as we are alive, we shall have problems. The day we don't have problem, we'll be dead. And when you're running short of problems, watch out, he's calling you. That's the time to get on your knees and pray to God, have you stopped trusting me anymore? Send me some problems. Folks, and that day, Dr. Peale gave a prayer, which in my opinion is the crux of life. And since the last 47 years, I don't leave my home without this prayer. And the prayer goes this way. It is called the Serenity Prayer, which I'm sure many of you might have heard it before, but it goes like this. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, and courage to change the things that I can, and wisdom to know the difference what I can and what I cannot. Just look at what the prayer is. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change. Question is, can we change everything in this world to suit ourselves? Answer is no. Can we mold and manipulate everything in this world to suit ourselves? Answer is no. There are many, many, many things beyond, such as, I didn't choose my parents, neither did you. I didn't decide where I was going to be born, neither did you. If this is my height, the color of my skin, there's nothing I can do about it. And granted, sometimes people are born deformed. Sometimes bad things do happen to good people for no fault of their own. What wrong did they do? Who knows? It says, what I cannot change, let me accept it graciously, not grudgingly. Because many times in life, we keep fighting the things we just cannot change. And we bring stress into our lives, we become paralyzed, and we become unproductive. So it says, what I cannot change, let me accept it graciously, not grudgingly. And if I can change, then give me the courage to do it. Wisdom to know the difference, what I can and what I cannot. Folks, I highly, highly, highly recommend one book to you. It is called The Anatomy of an Illness, written by Dr. Norman Cousin. Any of you read it at all? I've given the synopsis in my book, You Can Win. Dr. Norman Cousin, at the age of 35, he was declared terminally ill. And the doctor said, pack your bags, you're going upstairs. And he had a close friend who was a doctor. He asked him, have you tried everything on us? He said, yeah, I've done everything, nothing more. Then he asked, can I try something on myself now? So his friend who was a doctor, he said, well, my friend, you can try anything you want. Your way, my way, highway, you are going upstairs anyway. Folks, anyway, so he started thinking, they've done everything, given up on me, what do I do? He asked his friend, can I take mega dosage of vitamin C? So he said, well, I don't have any research which says help you, but in your case, nothing, it doesn't matter. Go ahead, take it, whatever you want. And then he started thinking, negative emotions like worry, anger, hate, jealousy causes negative chemicals in our body, then the reverse must be true too. Are you with me? See, when your life is in danger, you start thinking sensibly. Are you with me? And then he started thinking the reverse must be true. Good emotions got to create good chemicals in our body. He said, hospital is so depressing, it is no place for sick people. He said, I'm going to get out of here. Hospital is depressing. This is no place for sick people. I'm getting out of here. He checked himself into a hotel. And he rented his old Charlie Chaplin movies and Laurel Hardy movies. And he saw those movies. He laughed himself out for a couple of hours. He had lost 100 pounds of weight. He laughed himself for 2 hours. He felt relaxed. Felt a little hungry. He ate a little, which he hadn't done a long time. Then he slept a little, which he hadn't slept a long time. Woke up again. Started watching the movies again. Another 2 hours. 2 hours of laughter again. Made him feel a little hungry, more relaxed. And slept a little more, ate a little more, and gradually woke up again another 2 hours, and again and again and again and again, till it becomes a cycle, and he healed himself completely and died about a few years ago at the age of 75 or 77. He was the only non-medical doctor who was given a faculty seat at the UCLA Medical Center. He has been written up by the New England Journal of Medicine, and he talked of laughter is used as a therapy. Are you with me? Why? Because when we laugh, our body releases a chemical which is called what? Endorphins, which helps us build our immune system. Many medical doctors say, buddy, 90% of your problems are going to be over if you have full 8 hours sleep and you laugh a lot. Man, 90% of your problems are over right there. Now, it's not as simplistic, don't get me wrong. Now, if you need to get surgery, get it done. I'm not. Okay, folks, coming back. Now, I went to I was coming to Dr. Peel, and if I can change, give me the courage to do it and wisdom to know the difference what I can and what I cannot. Now, folks, when I wrote my book, You Can Achieve More, I took this thought 2 steps forward. And I wrote in that life is full of choices and life is full of compromises. Seems like a contradiction, but not really. How is life? Hello, sir. Hello. We have quite a few seats open up here. Hello. This side. We have quite a few seats open here. Come on up here. Come. We were holding these seats for you anyway. Settle down, folks. And be sure we won't do forced surgery on you. Come on. Come. All right, folks, let's come back. Folks, how is life full of choices? Folks, if I ill-treat you, I have chosen to be ill-treated, haven't I? If I treat you with discourtesy, I have chosen to be treated with discourtesy, haven't I? If I light up a cigarette, I've chosen to invite cancer, haven't I? And if I drink and drive, I've chosen to invite an accident, haven't I? And if I exercise every day, I've chosen to invite good health, haven't I? And if I eat too much every day, I've chosen to be obese, haven't I? And folks, if I tell lies, I have chosen to lose my credibility, haven't I? Are you with me? That's right. Folks, life is full of choices. Now, the next sentence is very important, folks. We are all free to the point of choice. But after we make our choices, the choice controls the chooser. We have no more choice after that. It's all over. Freedom is stopped. Now, how is life full of compromises? Folks, as somebody said well, in life, we cannot choose the cards that are dealt to us. What we can choose is how we play the game. And sometimes nature gives us a lemon. The choice is ours. Do we cry or do we make lemonade? That's a choice. Now, folks, when I wrote my book, You Can Win, sometimes people do ask me, Mr. Khera, people who are successful, don't they make mistakes? And people who fail, don't they do positive things in life? My answer is that people who are successful, they do make mistakes. But remember, making a mistake once in a while does not bring failure. Repeating the same mistake again and again is what brings failure. Are you with me? And doing something positive once in a while does not bring success. Repeating the same positive behavior again and again is what brings success. Now, after I attended Dr. Peel's program, I went back to my manager and I said, Joe, give me one more shot. Don't fire me. Because if you fire me today, I don't know where to go. And the only place I know where to go is go back to washing cars. And I said, I don't want to do that anymore. I got a family to support. I have a little daughter. I make one commitment to you. I won't let you down because of my effort. But please, withdraw the papers. He looked at me and he says, Shiv, that's not your small one, that's your big one. He said, I'll let you stay here only if you make a commitment not to me, but to yourself. I'll let you stay. Folks, that day I made a commitment. And that was one of the turning points in my life. And don't we all have some turning points? Yes, no. He withdrew the papers that day. And that year I went ahead, sold over $1 million. Next year, 3 million. Year after, 5 million. Moved on to the US, got into 3 businesses. I bought out a company out of California in 1984, started a New Jersey operation with no clients, and I sold my company with close to 500 clients for a decent sum. Now, why do I share my life with you? Why do I share my life with you? For a few reasons. One, I kept failing all my life and kept blaming the whole world for my failure, not realizing that I was my own biggest problem. Nothing changed outside, but something changed inside, and the direction in my life changed. Folks, let me ask you, many times in life, aren't we our own biggest problem? Yes, no. One. Number two, second lesson I learned from my manager at that time was, when he said to me, you shut up and listen. That day I learned that sometimes in life, you got to be unkind to be kind. Are you with me? That sometimes in life, you got to be unkind to be kind. Leadership is not a popularity contest. I repeat, leadership is not a popularity contest. And third lesson that I learned from him was, I was on 100% commission. If I didn't sell, I wouldn't get any money, and I had no money. But I saw some people in my company, they were getting salaries, but they were not doing the job. That's the time I learned the difference between making money versus earning money. Making money is criminal, earning money is spiritual. Are you with me? Making money is criminal, earning money is spiritual. What's the difference? When we earn money, we put our energy and ethics behind it. I repeat 2 words. You put your energy and ethics behind it, and sadly today, most people only want to make money. They don't want to earn it. And that is true in every profession, whether it's legal profession, medical profession, anywhere you talk about it. Folks, a study was done by Gallup in US, which said that 63% of people who go to work, they're disengaged. 63% of people who go to work, they are disengaged. Means they don't do their job. 63%. And it's also said an additional 24% are actively disengaged. Means they don't let others also don't do their job in the office. That leaves only 13% of people who go to work actually do work. Only 13% of people who go to work actually do work. Let me ask you, is this not an integrity issue? Hello? Big time integrity issue. And the same study also said, with the way social media is today, people who go to work, they spend 2 to 3 hours per day on the personal social media. I bet many people here do the same thing too. 2 to 3 hours per day in the personal social media. Tell me, is that what we're getting paid for? Hello? No. Tell me, if somebody stole your wallet from your pocket, what do you call that person? A thief. And when we do all these things, what are we? No different. Now, I just want to mention one thing here, especially government institutions, and this place is government institution. Am I right or wrong, sir? Okay. Now, especially more so in a government institution. 43 years ago, I came across a story by a man, Steve. He was working out in the hot sun. A limousine came in, and the man from inside shouted, says, "Steve, come here, inside." So Steve left his work, came inside. They exchanged pleasantries, had some cold drink, and he went back to work. So when he went back to work, all Steve's colleagues were impressed. "You mean you know this guy inside the limo?" He said, yeah. "He's the president of the company." He said, "How do you know him?" He said, "Not only do I know him, but 30 years ago, he and I joined the company on the same day. And not only on the same day, but also on the same position too." Now they were surprised. "You mean you both joined same day, same position? How come he's the president and you are still a laborer?" And the answer Steve gave says it all. He said, 33 years ago, he started working for the company, and I started working for $1.28 an hour. I started working for $1.28 an hour. He started working for the company. Now, the story that I just shared with you is literally the story of Jack Welch, the chairman of GE. This is literally the story. But now you might say, such things might happen in the US, may not happen in India. How can a laborer become the president of the company? Well, while I can become prime minister, why can't we do this? Now, it is not over. Let's stay here. Folks, I met a man about 5 years ago who took an early retirement from the defense services and started his own business, and within a matter of few years, he was doing close to 1,000 crore turnover. So one day a friend of his came who was looking for a job, who also had taken early retirement from the services, but he was looking for a job. So he came to him and said, "Can I work for you?" He said, "Of course, I've known you for 30 years. So one day the office closed, everybody left. The employee started talking to the owner and said, "Buddy, you remember 30 years ago? We both joined the services together on the same day?" He said, "Yeah, I remember." And he says, "You remember, you were getting $1,000, I was getting $1,000, you remember?" He said, "Yeah, I remember." He said, "You remember that you were an employee and I was an employee? You remember?" He said, "Yeah, I remember." And he said, "Look at this, 30 years later, I'm still an employee. And you're the owner of a company worth 1,000 crores. Isn't this luck?" Yes, no. Isn't this luck? Okay, folks, hear the answer. If out of this afternoon you have nothing else to take home, only this one item, I think our being here together would have been worthwhile. Just hear the answer the man gave. He said, "Look, I didn't want to bring it up. Since you brought it up, I will address it. You may not like it, but that's your problem." He said, "I want to remind you of an incident 30 years ago. One day, we came from the office, walked 2 miles, came to the barracks to come to sleep. It was 9:30. He said, when we got to the barracks, it occurred to me, we forgot to switch the light and the fan. What did you say at that time? You said, don't you see what time it is? Who's going to go back 2 miles, come back 2 miles? It'll be 10:30. Haven't we worked hard already? And then you said to me, what's the big deal? It's only one fan. And then you said, what is the big deal? It's only one light. And you said, what is the big deal? It's only one night. And you said, what's the big deal? It belongs to the government. it belongs to the government. You said, I'm not going back. You went off to sleep. And he said, I went back and I switched the light and the fan, then I came back. He said, now hear this carefully. 30 years ago, we both joined the services together on the same day. That is correct. You were getting $1,000, I was getting $1,000. That is also correct. You were an employee then, you are an employee now. That is also correct. But here's the difference. I was an owner that night 30 years ago. I'm an owner tonight too. I was an owner that night. I'm an owner tonight. And he said, the kind of thinking you have, you'll die an employee too. Tu marega bhi nokar. Tu marega bhi nokar. Folks, keep in mind, a paycheck. You finish up. You finish your talking, we'll start later. Carry on. I won't start till you give me a go ahead. Need a go ahead from your side, otherwise I'm packing up, handing the mic, I'm leaving. Can you stop? Hello? Second last row. Can we stop? Can we move it? Can I have a yes? Pretty much. I'm done. Dr. Serene, I'm grateful to you, sir. Thank you very much for all of you. And oops, this is my fault. I apologize, folks. Kindly forgive me, I apologize. 5 more minutes. Okay. To have a 5-minute Q&A, folks? Okay. All right, let's do that. Just like to make one point. Just switch it off, please. I just like to make one more point, before I pack up. And more so, it applies to India, more so. And I think one of the biggest damage done to our country has been done by our media. Anytime you turn the TV on, what do you see? Horoscope. There's a horoscope. There is a Babaji, Guruji, Swamiji, some Babaji, Guruji, Swamiji, and 3 tilaks here, 3 tilaks there, and he says, beta, naam bolo, kahan se bol rahe ho bolo, janam tithi bolo, janam time bolo. Guruji malum nahi, he said, don't worry. He has a laptop, he does tick, 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 and then he says, सोम मंगल पे चढ़ा हुआ है, मंगल बुध पे चढ़ा हुआ है, बुध बृहस्पति पे चढ़ा हुआ है, दूसरा तीसरे के घर में बैठा है. अरे दूसरा तीसरे के घर में बैठेगा तो प्रॉब्लम तो होगी. Yes, no. And then he says, मंगलिक 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 मंगलिक. Then he says, मंगलिक का उतारने का उपाय, अरे केले के पेड़ से शादी कर लो, पीपल के पेड़ से शादी कर लो, वो मर जाएगा, बच जाओगे. And then he says, no, अरे शनि चढ़ गया, शनि चढ़ गया, शनि चढ़ गया. Now the guy is scared, शनि चढ़ गया. How do you get rid of शनि? कहता है साहब एक काला रुमाल लो, उसमें काली दाल डालो, काला काजल लगाओ, काले बाल वाला खोजो, 7 बारी खोपड़ी घुमाओ, काला कुत्ता खोजो, काला बर्तन खोजो. And people are doing this. Folks, people are doing all over. Let me ask you, शनि को उतारना चढ़ाना, उतारना चढ़ाना, उतारना चढ़ाना इतना आसान है तो यार भेजो शनि को पाकिस्तान, सारे टेररिस्ट को मरवा दो यार, काम खत्म करो. अगर शनि को उतारना चढ़ाना इतना आसान है तो भेजो शनि को लद्दाख, चाइना से लड़वाओ यार. मैं आपसे ये पूछना चाहता हूं, सर शनि परमानेंटली इंडिया में रहता है, ऑस्ट्रेलिया क्यों नहीं जाता? कभी न्यूजीलैंड नहीं जाता यार, यहीं बैठा है परमानेंटली, यहीं बैठा है साहब. So why am I sharing this with you? Because if you read life history of Swami Vivekananda, Swami Dayanand, Guru Nanak, they never believed in all these things. In fact, they fought against it. गुरु नानक fought against superstition. विश्वास इंसान को ताकत देता है, लेकिन अंधविश्वास इंसान को कमजोर बनाता है. Are you with me? That's right. And they fought against it. And people go out and they go to the Babaji, and they catch their feet. Babaji, क्या करें? बाबाजी क्या करें? एक बाबा कहता है, बेटा प्रीत करो. अब वो प्रीत बेच रहा है साहब. दूसरा बाबा जाता है, कहता है, बेटा हनी बेचो, हनी करो. तीसरा हनी प्रीत मिक्स करके बेच रहा है यार, वो भी बैठा है क्या? See, that is what एक बाबा, भीड़ लगी हुई है, कहता कल जलेबी खाई थी, नहीं खाई थी. गोलगप्पे खाए थे, नहीं खाए. चटनी खाई थी. Have you not? Are you familiar with the Baba that we're talking? Yeah, that's right. And people are going and doing all this stuff. Now, folks, let me share with you. I have an article here. Tell me, Swami Vivekanand, Dayanand, Guru Nanak, they fought against it. In the Sikh families, there is no Manglik. They don't tally patris. In Sikh families, they don't pull out any Shubh Muhurat. Every wedding of a Sikh family is done on a Sunday. Am I right, sir? And Sunday doesn't sit right, they do it on a Saturday. Saturday doesn't sit right, they do it on a Friday. Folks, there's an article came out in India today. January issue of 2018. It says superstition and astrology. Folks, it says in South India and many parts of India, because of superstition, natural childbirth has gone down by 80%. They're talking of South India, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Madras. You can Google it. 80% of childbirth is done through C-section operation. Why? Some astrologers said this is good time to pull out the kid. Move on with this. Folks, I share with you once I was going to the airport and the driver hit the brake so hard the car came to a screeching halt. I asked him कि भैया क्या हो गया? बोले साहब बिल्ली रास्ता काट गई. तो मैंने कहा भाई अब क्या होगा? कहता है सर अब शगुन हो जाएगा, नहीं जाएंगे हम, गाड़ी रोक देता हूँ. तो मैंने कहा फ्लाइट मिस हुआ तो बहुत नुकसान हो जाएगा यार, फिर क्या करेंगे? तो आई आस्क्ड हिम कि भैया कब तक गाड़ी रोकोगे? कहता साहब जब तक कोई दूसरा क्रॉस नहीं कर जाए. तो मैंने कहा भाई उसका नुकसान हो जाएगा. बोले उसकी दैट्स हिज प्रॉब्लम. तो साहब look at this guy, this driver, it seemed like he had done PhD on the बिल्ली. I asked him कि यार एक बात बताओ, मान लीजिए आप 15 गज पहले होते और बिल्ली निकल चुकी होती, और अगर आपने बिल्ली को ना देखा होता, इन दैट केस फिर क्या करते? साहब ध्यान से सुनिएगा. वेरी सीरियसली द मैन सेज, इन दैट केस बिल्ली की पावर कम हो जाती है साहब. आप लोग हंस रहे हो साहब, पढ़े लिख के PhD MBA यही कुछ कर रहे हैं साहब. It is so sad. It is so sad. Look, life always does not go up. It does come down for all of us. And when it comes down, people who accept responsibility, they ask themselves a question. If a similar situation came again, would I behave the same way? If the answer is yes, means I haven't learned anything. And if the answer is no, they evaluate and say, similar situation came again, I will change this and I learned something from here. They won't repeat it. They accept responsibility. But people who don't want to accept responsibility, when things go wrong, you know what they say? My stars are not favoring me. And they will never learn anything. Folks, no kidding, I saw one man wearing rings, two rings on each finger. मैंने कहा 10 नीचे भी है क्या? I just asked him. कितनी घंटे पहने के भाई? मैं तो एक बात ये पूछना चाहता हूं, these numerologists, if they are so good, they tell numbers which are lucky numbers. How many numerologists ever won lotteries? Hello? यार सारी लॉटरी इन्हीं को मिलनी चाहिए फिर. How come nothing happens? Why am I sharing this with you? Folks, we need to understand that it is God-given power within us. It is not my power. That is egoistic person. These are all God-given powers. God does not operate by himself. He operates through doctors and good people out there. Yes, no. That's right. He operates through good people. Folks, a few years ago I addressed almost 1,000 cardiologists, and the topic was science and spirituality. Now they're all scientists, and I'm not a spiritual guy the way it is in the Bhagavad. Anyway, so I was to address. So I did a little research and I found out what is spirituality, how do you define spirituality? And you know, the dictionary meaning says anything that makes you feel good is spiritual. You see, means anything that lifts your spirit is spiritual. Anything that lifts your spirit. So many times I've seen parents telling the kids, do what feels good, do what feels good, do what feels good, do what feels good. I come from the old school, and the old school says, our parents said one thing, feeling good is a natural outcome of doing good. You do good, you feel good. And how can you feel good when you don't do good? Are you questioning me? And now question is there anything called good and bad? Answer is yes. There is something called good and bad. Now that'll take me another half an hour. So let me stop here. And it is 4:45. Folks, I'm grateful to all of you, sir. I'm grateful to you. And all I can say is, you're doing a great job. I didn't know there's such a great institution was here. I was not aware of it till last time you called me, and I could make it at that time. But all I can say is, sir, I will volunteer which I did at Maulana Azad. It's a teaching institute. You are teaching a lot of people skills here, because you are creating more and more doctors here. Just like IIM Nagpur has made it that every MBA student has to go through our leadership program. You know something, you're not just creating doctors, you are creating leaders. Are you with me? Yes. You are creating leaders. And I offer my program. If you have a budget, fine. If you don't have a budget, I will do it free. If you don't have the budget, I'll do it free. But I'll be more than happy to do our leadership program and bring our leadership qualities, values, and integrity right into our system, and they'll be our biggest asset. God bless. Thank you very much.
A huge round